This is David at Barnyard Bees. This is a subject that I've talked about before, and it's about swarms communicating with other swarms to trigger them to swarm as well. So I've seen this so many times, and I guess because when I'm down here and there's so many bees, you usually get the opportunity to see it. But it's amazing. You can sit here and watch a swarm develop, and you can even watch it come out of the hive, and it'll fly. Like there was one this little while ago, started on this back row. It flew up to the top row, and I sat there and watched it, and then it flew back. And that was, as it flew back, there was bees from up in that area started following them back as well. They get back to this back row, and they're joined again by a few more bees. And it's just like a triggered reaction. And unless you just got hundreds and hundreds of hives, it's hard to see that actually happen. So here's what happened. All those bees, they went back and forth, and they ended up, look what they're coming. I knew they was gonna land somewhere. They're coming in this colony right here. And I can assure you, look around here on the ground, and this is where that swarm went to. So what I'm gonna do, those already got bees in it. I'm gonna try to save that colony and put a mini nuke over here to get them to go in. Okay, I'm back. What I did, I moved that one away and put in this little two-framer here that has nothing but a queen cell in it and a handful of bees. Now, it's a good way of manipulating the bees sometimes is trick them into going into somewhere they didn't intend to. And I do that a lot. Now, over there's the colony that I just had moved that they was trying to go into just a few seconds ago. So now, possibility, queen has maybe already went in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna put it here in this spot, in the spot where that two-framer was. Okay, now put it in that spot right there. Now, you can see where my sugar water was a little bit too full, and it's running out now, where I actually set it up on that brick, and it was just a little bit too much of a tilt compared to where it was. So now that sugar water's running out. But anyway, I got it in that spot there. These bees, they're still flighty. They're coming around, and bees will do this often. They will check out the colony. If they know it's weak, they will come in and they'll take it over. Take over residency. I mean, not take it over to steal honey. They'll do that as well. But in this case here, you know, they're taking over the hive. Now look what just by chance I had some frames sitting here, and they're coming in on those frames, so I need to move these frames so they won't be distracted. So they're going, this is an old frame that had wax moth damage on it. Make sure the queen's not sitting on there. I don't see her. Let me check them right there for a minute so I can move these frames over. See how lucky I am to find the queen. Don't see any. Okay. Move that over just a little bit. And they will go in there. It's just a good way of, especially late in the year, here's some good advice to people. You know, people that claim that swarms are no good after June and all that. Look, if you don't think they'll build up, put them in one of these two frames right here. We ran these through the winter last year here in North Georgia. We did we experimented with 7. We did a very small number, and 6 of them lived. So we're gonna do probably 100 of them or more this year. Just a little experiment, go a little bit more with them and see how they do. So now that this little colony, this two-framer, already had a frame of honey in it. So they will have plenty of stores in there. And usually, a lot of times those incoming queens, you'll see a couple of them fall on the ground, but I've not seen any hit the ground yet. And she's probably, it just had started, so I don't know if she went in the other colony. It's possible, but like I said, a lot of times there's more than one queen, so maybe she'll walk right in that one. And what I might have to do is just put a little dab of Swarm Commander right there on that entrance, and those bees will go marching right on in there. So that's about it. I just wanted to show that. I want to keep showing this so people will get an idea that this really does occur, that multiple swarms and a lot of flighty bees will trigger other swarms. I've seen it happen many a times, whether it's installing packages or bringing in splits from another yard. When the bees get to flying in the air in the pattern, like they're doing an orientation flight, but they're really like in a swarm flight, because even bees that are lost, they go into like almost like a swarm pattern, where they're just flying back and forth, or really not going like to a destination of any kind. So when that happens, they'll fly over other colonies, and sometimes those other colonies will join right up with them. You know, if they're close to swarming or have a reason to swarm, it's just like they're saying, come on, we're going to swarm, come with us. And they do it. It seems odd, and I've not heard anybody teach this stuff. But I'm just teaching it I'm just telling you from what I see in this yard. And it happens all the time, constantly happens. And because I observe it very closely. I study this stuff, I study these hives. I stay down here and put a lot of time and watch them, and when stuff like that happens, I watch them and watch them move, see how they do, watch other, like I say, other swarms blend in with them, and it happens. That's how you get multiple queens in these swarms. But right there they are. You know, it could have been 2 or 3 teeny tiny swarms that just didn't have any size to them at all, and that may be nature's way of survival. Because, you know, they don't, probably in nature, in the wild, a teeny tiny swarm like that wouldn't have a prayer, wouldn't have a chance, because they're so tiny. So if they can get the opportunity to merge up with another colony, their numbers are stronger. They can also make it. And then that's why I suggest using these little 2-framers right here, or even a 5-framer, depending where you're at. Because remember, it doesn't matter the size of the box, because the bigger the box you have, the more bees you're going to have to get you through the winter. It's just common sense. It makes sense. Smaller box, a smaller colony. A lot of these T-framers, I mean, they may not have a cluster the size of smaller than your fist come spring, but it didn't take much to keep them going. It didn't take much heat to generate that. People say, well, the cluster's got to be X amount of, it's got to be this big. It's got to be soft size big or soccer size. That's not true. Maybe soccer size if it's in a 10-frame, but when it's in a 2-frame, that it doesn't have to be that big. So it's just something you may experiment with, you know. And I can see them that looks like they're kind of on the move, starting to be on the move now a little bit. Possibly as I was sitting there gabbing like I usually do, she may have marched right on in there. They're fanning, so I would bet she marched right on in there. So definitely not on the ground this time. Usually that happens with the big swarms. See, there's even some, see these, you always got to look around, see even these right here that landed to the side. I'll have to keep an eye on that in a little bit, because if it develops into a little ball, then I'll know that, you know, a queen's landed over there. That's about it. Don't forget, get you some Barnyard Bee packages and nucs 2019. Now's the time to order them if you want to get yours early. If you want to get them into March, into April sometime, depending on if we have a good winter. And don't forget, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching Barnyard Bees.